What's going on? What's going on? We live here. We back with our Sunday live. It's been another interesting week. Get my charge here. Computer to go dead. It's been an interesting week. I think we definitely in the transitional phase of the year. We have the NFC AFC championships coming up today. And football is coming to an end, guys. I think basketball is about ready to take over within another month or so. It'll be March Madness and all of that. Colorado, both girls and the boys are doing really good. So it's going to be an interesting, playoff season for the basketball team. So it's going to keep things going and keep people excited and keep Colorado's name out there. But at the end of the day, football is over, really. I mean, Super Bowl is going to be coming up. College is over. So we're definitely truly in the off season. And it's a lot slower far as just the storylines. But thanks, for the true and faithful here who come and just keep us all consistent, because it's stuff out here. It's just not the top of the headlines like you may see when you were during the season. During the season, it's like you got games and upsets, and everybody can do that. But, the people who truly want to know what's going on with Colorado, that's why y'all here. And even though it may not always be like a hot story, even though we get more hot stories than anybody, maybe because the spotlight and just the nature of the people involved and just the volatility, of the team, far as who's going to stay, who's going to go. I guess that with everybody, because even on a good season, you see teams like Washington, Alabama, the coaches get promotion or they retire. You see in Michigan, they just hired their coach to, it's a good thing to see a coach who fill in and show what he can do and give him a shot to be the head coach. So that, good thing for Michigan. Auburn should have did the same thing with Cadillac possibly, but it's just, I don't get into a lot of the, like the race relationship, whatever. I mean, sometimes they play a factor, but that's not the first thing. But Michigan definitely did a good thing. But when we look at the off season, it's specifically with Colorado, it's a big thing. You see, I don't understand why our coach left. Yeah, to go to Alabama. I don't understand why. Are you talking about? I'm not sure. You talking about Coach Charles Kelly went to Auburn? I don't know, but I think what's really relevant right now for Colorado is what we've seen this week. It's like it'll go over a lot of people's head. University of Washington. I don't understand why our coach left the University of Alabama. Oh, you talking about Washington, your team, Washington. Yeah. I mean, it's bigger money. It's SEC. It's SEC. And, maybe he felt he reached the pinnacle. I don't know. Maybe he he's losing a lot of players and he can go get some players out of Alabama. I don't know. I know they graduate a lot of guys in Washington. But, I mean, only the coaches really know the inside culture of their team. We kind of get like a third party, fourth, fifth party perspective on what's going on why coaches do what they do, why players do what they do. And it's an interesting thing when you really look at the dynamics of a team. Because like I was saying with Colorado, it's nothing more important right now with Colorado if they want to make a shift from last year. Yeah, we got new talent coming in. That's exciting. Got a new line that was needed. D-line, O-line, D-line, plugging a lot of holes. Shador's still there. Travis still there. A lot of guys still there. But ultimately, if we really assess, which we've done to a degree since the season ended, because we just was in, post-traumatic. We're trying to figure out what happened. And it's a few things. It's not just one thing that affected the season last year. But one of the things that really came out that was kind of obvious, but it wasn't because we were on the inside. We heard certain things. They did a decent job of covering up the division within the count. But people who really knew sports could really say, okay, something's off. It just kind of sliding that hill, something's off. And a lot of it came out during a documentary on how they felt, the connections and the relationships of the team just wasn't up to par. And it's interesting that it didn't really come out during the season as much as it did in the documentary, which was filmed throughout the season. Maybe a lot of the interviews was done after the season, so maybe they really did. Maybe they was in denial. I don't know. But the reality is, Colorado has an issue. It's an issue that I acknowledge, like I said before, that they would have and could have, just knowing people and knowing sports. When you bring in a bunch of guys who got an end goal, they don't have a prior relationship. They don't have a connection. Basically, all coming in for self. I can talk the talk, but ultimately, I'm in it for myself. You can have a clash because if I don't get what I want, I can become angry and I can become jealous. So we start hearing all about this jealous. That's possible when you don't have the proper expectations set, but also when you don't have relationships. Because if people don't have relationships, people can easily turn on each other. I have some season 7 on board. Yeah. Come out. Yeah, it did come out. I think they're deep in the trenches. They still working on the trenches. You still got after what we call the spring game. But I think the reality is you have this. All of this is going to happen when you have people who just come aboard just out of nowhere and kind of from here and there, and you kind of expect them to jail. The only time people really jail that quick is through trauma, really. And like that's why when you see in the military, the soldiers train in extreme circumstances, and you ain't about it, they're gonna run you off. So they're gonna run off the weak. But your bond is gonna happen, man. We made it through this hell together. So they create the most traumatic, the most challenging situation possible. That's what they do. And football has an assimilation of that, but at the same time, it's still a sport. It's still fun. It's still whatever. So I guess the only trauma you're really going to have at the end of the day is, when you we have a loss, which we've seen with how, Oregon we went through that. We went up there, got beat to sleep. And then, we had a close comeback against USC. We had a nail biter against CSU, but that really doesn't benefit you. Absolutely. And I mean, it doesn't benefit you to experience that until maybe the next season. And that's the problem. So a lot of the things that they suffered had more value for this season than last season. The more they went through, but again, a lot of them guys wasn't there. Because remember, you still bringing in a lot of new guys. It's not as many as last year, but you bringing in a lot of new guys in key roles who's going to play, who's going to start, especially on the O-line. So they're going to have to build their bond in a lot of different ways. So that's what you're really looking at here. Yeah, it makes sense. What's going on? It makes sense that he will bring in that kind of element, because without that element, naturally, you have to create a type of interaction that allows us to kind of have to lean on each other and at the same time be able to have an experience that we didn't have a time to organically experience, because we haven't been to school 2-3 years together. We've been around each other 2-3 weeks or a couple months. So it makes sense when he brought in the Marines. But I think ultimately he had to do it because, one, you have to weed out who has a team mentality. Two, you got to weed out who's selfish. Then you got to weed out is people going to quit. So it's a lot of mental benefits to the whole bringing in the Marines. But at the end of the day, if Colorado, I think they had something similar last year, but if Colorado is going to make it through this season, I'm going to say it again, if they're going to make it through this season, I believe, and this is just my belief, I believe this season is going to be a lot more challenging. Not necessarily from a talent versus talent or, this the Big 12, but I think the standard has been set last year. I think that people expect more out of Colorado. It kind of like came from the 1-11 perspective, so everything was gravy. But I think the expectations is higher because they say, "Oh, you said you got what you need. Let's see what you're gonna do. You got your trenches. Let's see what you're gonna do." You said that's all you needed. Now what you going to do? This your second year. We gave you a pass on your first year. Then teams also not going to underestimate them as much. I think a lot of times, you know, I mean, when they played in the first few games, people are, oh, that was luck, oh, this, you know, so teams are not going to underestimate Colorado in a way where it's not just going to be we're going to play good because we're in front of the crowd and this is where all the eyeballs at, but they're going to just have to be a lot more cognizant of the fact that people know what Shador can do now. People know what Travis can do now. They're going to take them more serious. They're going to have a little more respect for Colorado this year. So they're going to get, I guess, more film has been had. You know, they're not using film from Jackson State with a whole bunch of different places. They'd have film showing on this is what we do to stop Colorado. Oh, you hit it on the point. You say you're a Washington fan? Now, I know from playing on a talented team that mostly black get calls in the state. I transferred the team, 2 of us, and got all the calls. You know, I think it was more of a prime thing. I know it's more of a prime thing. It's because you already got noticed that in the beginning of the season, coaches were banding together. Once they realized, oh, sure, they can beat us. By that second, third game, coaches start sharing stuff and insight, and they were working together to beat him. And I think that people just was willing to go to any level to make sure he didn't have a successful season. They didn't want to see a guy with 2.5 years of experience come out of nowhere and from a HBCU after they don't dog them out and come in and beat people in his first year. They made darn good sure that he didn't break all the norms. He already done broke the norm of being a head coach. A short period of time, he just go right in as a head coach. Didn't have to work his way up in the college ranks. Went to the SWAC, dominated there. They didn't want him to do it there. Oh, no, you're not going to come to the Power 5 and do the same thing and show us all up. And you only have no coaching experience. We got to make sure that it looked like you failed. So it makes sense. The Purple Rain eras, they can't stand prime. Yeah. I don't think a lot of people can't stand prime. They've been led to, you know, by how he's been portrayed. I mean, it's always a money thing. You look at the fact that Vegas is voting. I mean, is not voting, betting on this thing. But I think it's more than money because, I mean, they couldn't stop him from making money. Colorado made all the money in the world, you know. Colorado sold tickets. They didn't stop the money. Everywhere he went, they sold out. They didn't stop the money. They stopped him. You know, they was maybe with the, you know, over under and all of that. You know, and it's funny you say this. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was really, it's going on the whole season. We just didn't pay attention to it because we were so busy in the hype and we were so busy seeing what was going on with the line. We really wasn't paying attention to how them games was kept close, you know, and manipulated. And I think a lot of that came to play once they really realized after that TCU game in Nebraska that they can beat you. If we don't help them out, they'll beat you. Without a line, they'll beat you. Shador will come back without a line and beat you. So they definitely helped out on those penalties. But I you know, I looked at some highlights of some games, and I saw a guy hit a guy just like Travis on the sideline. And the guy actually caught the ball, and they called the targeting. I was like, now I say, what's going on with that targeting rule? Because you hit a guy clearly defenseless. The ball don't land it way away from him. He don't stop. Your man don't stop, and you hit him after the play really over with. That's definitely a target. That's definitely targeting. Targeting is more than targeting with your head. Targeting is targeting a player. That's what targeting is. That is the original definition of targeting. Him with your head and all that, and spear and the, you know, all of that, the crown of your head. That's all extra. Targeting is I'm gonna go after a certain player. I'm clearly targeting him. I hit him after the play. That's what he did. You know. I call some more calls. Call the money. Again, I think it's more than pockets of that rough. I mean, you got the Vegas component. That's obvious. You got gambling, but you also got what's been going on for years. It's nothing new. You know, you got people who control the essence of the game. Everything ain't money, 100%. Money is only a part of it. You look at the fact Like, for example, it's clearly with the Utah game. They clearly wanted Utah to win by any means necessary. They had little cartoon characters of the boy, fourth string quarterback, his mama in the stands. They had the whole storyline laid out. They weren't going to let him lose. They called back every ridiculous touchdown they can for them to just barely beat Colorado. But really, Colorado would have blew them out without Shador because they just was more talented. They still had Travis out there. Dylan was scoring. They just was better. Utah's so overrated. That's what I'm saying. Like, a lot of this stuff, man, if we really look at it, everything ain't just football going on here. It ain't just money going on here. It's literally certain people are wanted to win a lot of times. And if you really got enough people against you, they can make you lose. And I believe Coach Prime had enough people against him to make him lose. You know, that's what I said. Poor conditioning. Where do we see Colorado poor conditioning? Colorado was the best conditioned team out there. Conditioning was never their issue. Discipline may have been they lack of issue. False starts, missed tackles, and you say all of that, and they still was in the game. So your point, well, I mean, if they're doing all that, then what they need help for to lose? You see, you don't have to call back touchdowns. Nothing about Travis' 2 touchdowns had to do with his lack of condition or lack of discipline. Everything but, you know, the fact they stopped plays and called them back without reviewing them. That has nothing to do with this one. That has nothing to do with this conditioning. Colorado was way more conditioned than a lot of teams they played. But when you know, like, for example, in the UCLA game, the guy was clear on the line. They don't narrow it down to a blade of grass and called that a catch, even though it was already, I think, was ruled not a catch, or they ruled it a catch so they couldn't overturn it, whatever. The guy's foot was out of bounds. If one foot was in, one foot was down. It was very odd. I remember that play because it's like, who catches a ball without some kind of like a brace? Like, your back foot down, but your right foot up. Without your right foot being down, how do you balance like that? Like, how do you slide on the back foot without having a brace? That right foot had already touched before that left foot touched, and even that was on the line. And you saw, like, you know, like, that was the game where they took Shiloh out the game, who hit a guy in the chest. His helmet may have grazed the face mask. He didn't hit him in the head. He hit him in the chest. And they took him out the game. And you really look at that game, Shiloh was controlling that game. The defense really was about to take the soul out of UCLA. They had about 2-3 fumbles. I mean, the receivers was really ready to tap out. Really. It was only the offense that was asleep. If that offense had woke up, if Colorado offense had woke up, UCLA would have been a different game. But they had some calls to help move the chains and finish that game off. But the defense really, everybody talk about the defense. The defense really controlled that game against UCLA. I mean, it was popping them. And you take the main one. That probably was going to be Shiloh's best game. You take him out the game on the most ridiculous call. Targeting. You slow it down every kind of way. He did not lead with his head. He led with his shoulder. So that's the first thing. He led with his shoulder, and he hit the man in his chest. And they took him out for targeting. That has nothing to do with conditioning. That has nothing to do with his lack of discipline. That has all to do with the call. Now, I remember when what game was that they played? Was it Stanford? When they finally stopped them on 3rd down, and Travis, the boy, kept pushing Travis. You show video, he just pushing Travis all on the ground. Travis pushed the dude back and got a penalty on it. It was 3rd and like 15. They finally stopped him. You could say that was lack of discipline. That was a shoving match. There was no call for a personal foul. What was personal about Travis pushing the guy back who kept pushing him after the play? It had nothing to do with blocking. The referee sitting there looking at it. And Travis pushed him back one time, and they personal foul. It wasn't no personal foul on both. It was just personal foul on him. What was personal about it? He pushed the boy. It's football. What's personal? He didn't punch him. He didn't hit him in the back. Especially when the guy was hitting him. So you got to look at all of these different things, like at the wrong time, giving people If they get stopped on third down, give them an extra down, give them on the fourth down. These are the things that I think about that could be dangerous for Colorado that they don't have no control over. When I say it could be harder, that is a lot to do with why I think it could be harder for them, because it worked last year. While you're talking about their line was good, better than 4 and 6. I mean 4 and 8. It's proven from the games that were taken from them. It was proven how close they were. They were better than 4 and 8. It wasn't getting blown away. They got blown away 2 games. Everything else was by a touchdown or less. Minus like I think UCLA was up by like 10 or something. So we got to look at the fact that it's a lot of things that Colorado got to take into consideration if it's going to be a better season. Yes, the line got to block better. Yes, they got to tackle better. I think a lot of that got to do with how they practice. I know they got to do it. When you don't practice tackling, it's hard to just show up in the game and do it. You ain't did it in months. And it's a physical game. You wonder why they can't, pull a person down, why they arm tackling and all this different stuff. It comes from the fact you just not doing it. Tackling a dummy is different than tackling a man. A man got 2 arms, 2 legs. He can wiggle out of it. A dummy is different. So when you're trying to prevent injury by not allowing them to tackle at practice, then your tackling just not. I always say I remember when Robinson came over and he talked about how Nick Saban used to have them killing each other at Auburn. It's the first thing he noticed at Colorado. That Colorado didn't let them hit. It was like he's preserving our body. But every last one of them had issues with tackling because that skill just wasn't sharp. You can run all the drills in the world and thud up all you want. But when you're thudding up, that ain't taking them. Don't take them to the ground. But that's the problem. Y'all didn't know how to take people to the ground. You knew how to bump into them, but you didn't know how to take them down. And when you're not getting that repetition and making those corrections, then stop. Blow the whistle when you hit, or blow the whistle when they get touch each other like you're playing 2-hand touch. Then that makes you. And I've experienced it. I actually experienced it. I've been on both sides of teams that just really didn't practice hitting, and we just was poor tacklers. But I've been a part of teams where it just was never a question. We're gonna tackle at practice. Starters, everybody. The only person not getting hit is the quarterback. So they were not going to. They wasn't going to let them. They did. They called back 3 touchdowns. Obvious touchdown. So I think that's the only way they're gonna make that correction is if they let them boys tackle at practice, especially during the offseason, and teach them to tackle correctly. I'm gonna be real with you. You really don't get hurt. You really don't get hurt from tackling. Only time you get hurt from tackling is when you lower your head or somebody go too low. Like that's the basics of football. Just basic tackling. Now, if you run at each other full speed from a mile away with your head down, somebody finna get a spinal injury, neck injury. But just basic tackling, you got a helmet, shoulder pads on. You ain't even really getting a concussion from tackling. The only thing I would protect somebody from is the receiver is up in the air, you better not hit him. Or if don't mollywop your player with his back turned to you. That's the only thing. But when they come tight, the running backs or you in front of me, go ahead and tackle because they need to learn how to break tackles too. But if I have my player with his back to me or he's in the air defenseless, don't hit him. I think that's when you really can get hurt. He said that was my question, how they could adjust in practice. Yeah, just hit. As long as he's in front of you, hit and take him down. And then that's how you learn how to team tackle. Because when you think, I'm gonna say the whistle blow when I thud him up, what if that wasn't gonna be enough? So I'm teaching the rest of the guys not to pursue the ball. Because what if he break that tackle? What if my guy needs help? But I'm in practice. I watched so many times in a game where they would hit the guy and the players would just be like, oh, he got him. And then wait till he break and then try to go after him. No team tackling whatsoever. That only comes from how they practice. It only comes from how they practice. I'm telling you, when you see a guy pull up because he saw his guy get to him first, like his tag, instead of going ahead and be there, just in case your guy need help, just in case he break the tackle. You can't wait till he break the tackle, then run after him again and try to tackle him 5-10 yards later. That's what they would do. That's a telltale sign that they don't practice tackling. Because I don't care if you like a lion. I don't care if you tackling. I'm finna come get some too. As long as he ain't on the ground yet, all of us finna hit him. 5 of us gonna hit him before he hit the ground. Then that's when you really see some people who really understand that. And that's what they miss. Because you got a little bit of DBs back there. That's not. Ward was small. Silman Craig small. Shallow not that big. And you soon, they're going to go tackle a guy. He 225, 230. He come through the hole like a freight train. Your linebackers nowhere to be found. They run it into the line like they blind as Stevie Wonder. They know nothing about scraping or reading the play. And then you watch them have to run through a hole big enough for a semi-trailer run through there. And Charlo got to come up. Ward got to come up. Silman Craig got to come up in open field and hit them. And they're going to go at the ankles or whatever. Oh, they're going to come up and get stiffed on and ran over. They got $175, $185 tackling somebody at full speed in open field. He can go either way. You dive at his ankles. It was nobody to slow him up at no level except the third level. To the point the safeties have to come all the way up and hit like they're a linebacker. They come up, they run past the linebacker and make a hit. That right there, you say they were breaking tackles. Most of the time, they wasn't breaking nothing. They could run right past the defensive line to catch them backfield. It was no second level. That was the biggest weakness of the defense. The biggest weakness of the defense was the linebackers. I'm gonna tell y'all that I played linebacker. I'm telling you what they had. That was dead wrong. Quavo was right. I mean, but you can't see that right there. It's like you tell him he need to cover better. How you gonna tell a man to be focused on coverage when he know they gushing him, and he know he gonna have to be the one to make the tackle? Because if they don't make the tackle in the backfield, the safety got to make the tackle. That's why you think the safeties were leading in tackling? Tell me that. If they're leading in tackling, that means that if the D lineman ain't making the tackle, it ain't no such thing as linebacker. Linebackers only making tackles when they blitzing, tackling in the backfield. Outside of that, is no second level. The D linemen, they would get in the backfield, some of them. Dominic, some of them get back there. The problem is they got their lane. Linebacker jump up there like they the D line. Run to the lineman instead of scraping down the line to the hole. The lineman out there running the hole with the D lineman and leave a hole unaccounted for. And they just run straight through that 20-yard pop. Or the quarterback will escape and find a lane. Because the linebacker just run into a hole. Nobody have to come block them. So Quavo saying that you need to cover better and all that, that's great. But how do you focus on covering when you know you really is the only person that's going after that D line that's going to make a tackle? So your eyes going to be in the backfield. So they really run the ball, any kind of play action, whatever. You watching because even if the quarterback escapes, you got to be the one to come up and make the tackle. You put a lot on that defensive line. You put a lot on that defensive line. And you put a lot on secondary when your linebacker ain't doing his job. Just garbage. Just garbage. And that's what really messed it all up. So I'm saying, even with all of that, they were able to win a lot of games and be in a lot of games. Matter of fact, that same defense that everybody let the dog out, they came up when they needed to. Outside of erroneous penalties that I don't think was their fault most of the time, when they call pass interference sometimes, but you don't call that when they ripping the whole sleeve off of Xavier Weaver. Right in front of the referee. They're ripping his arm, his whole shirt ripped off. And he look at he's in making faces at him, the referee. And you say they was afraid to wrap up. I'm gonna say it like this again. I'm definitely, a lot of people haven't played football, and they definitely haven't played football at a level where you playing against guys who are 220, run a 4.5, 4.4, muscle. Running full speed at you. Ain't slow down, ain't break a tackle. You come up and help assist. Running full speed at you in open field, which means he can go either way. And you got to come up. You got to break down. You just can't run into him. Or if you do run into him, you can't wrap up. You got to be like a missile. You got to do what they do, dive at their legs and hopefully clip them up. You're not finna wrap him up. You're not wrapping him up. You're not wrapping up a guy. You 20 yards back this way. He's coming full speed. His momentum is coming at you in the open field. The best thing you can do is run full speed at him and blow him up. You're not going to wrap him up. When you do, that's when you saw Shiloh get stiff armed and all that. When he reach out for a hug. They was more effective blowing him up. And because you blow the guy up coming full speed and he try to juke you go at his legs, he might lose his balance, jump to clip over you. But if you try to tackle him, 225, like some of them boys was big. Oregon State running back, big old running backs. Nebraska had a big running back. Big running backs like you should at that level. Like you seen the Ingrams and the Derrick Henrys and all them boys. Imagine trying to wrap them up full speed in the open field. It ain't gonna happen. And they gonna stiff on the message you get too close to them. So the best thing you do is blow their legs up. You not gonna wrap them up. Not if they come in full speed. You know who gonna wrap them up? The linebackers who 5 yards away. He should be wrapping them up, but he ain't nowhere to be found. The defensive linemen should be wrapping them. I agree with they should be wrapping them up. All of them should be wrapping them up. You know, this may be a good point. Yeah. I mean, we know that. We know they lost their trenches. We know several players went to other schools and played. I think one went to Louisville, Florida State. We saw all of that. We saw that was the hardest thing that they recruited, and they lost more trenches than they expected. I don't think they expected to have to recruit the trenches like that. So we definitely know that was the case. It looked like flag football. Exactly. And this is a good point too. Greater chance of shoulder injury, and we seen it. We seen Silman Craig. I think shoulder injury is either way. I think you greater chance of a shoulder injury trying to wrap old boy up, hit him head on in full speed, and you're $175. These are not big safeties. And your safety can come up if somebody redirects that running back, but he got a straight lane. He just run straight through the hole, nobody touch him. Full speed, get his speed up, and run into you. You got the disadvantage. So shoulder injury is inevitable for you to have to hit somebody that big, that fast coming at you, and you a little guy at that. You know, we seen them boys get hurt. We seen Silman Craig get hurt, shoulder hurt. Now, he was popping with his little self. We seen Shiloh get hurt with these injuries because these boys had to hit. If the linebackers had been hit, the safeties would have been better tacklers. I guarantee you that. Because they wouldn't have to make no tackles all the time when somebody full speed come out of the backfield. Somebody would have been there to either help with the tackle, redirect them, slow them up for you to come up and lay that hit on them. But it ain't fair for you to have to come 20 yards away, full speed to full speed all game. And you the smaller guy. You're going to get the worst of it. You're going to get the worst of it. Trust me. I don't play all these positions now, and I played them in college, in high school. I don't play corner. I don't play safety, and I don't play linebacker. And it's rare you ever meet people who did all that. And I ain't talking about no Trevor Woods crap either. That what he did at linebacker, he can't count himself as a linebacker because I was a good linebacker. I could read. And I could straight. And I knew how to keep them linemen up off me. And I knew how to stay away from linemen. And I knew how to use my quickness. Well, a lineman, he have a hard day trying to block me. Whether he's coming to me or I'm going to him. They just went up to the guys and let them hold. This is the dumbest thing in the world. He's bigger than you. He's trying to get you. I'm going to make you come get me. I ain't going to make it easy. I ain't going to make it easy. And see, that's what these guys, I don't know what their philosophy of a linebacker was. I give Trevor Woods a pass because they just threw him in there. He's not a true linebacker. I don't care what he did in high school. He couldn't have been true then. He just probably bigger and stronger than everybody. But he probably was a better safety than linebacker from a philosophy standpoint. But from a skill standpoint, he just wasn't it. He just didn't have the speed and all of that. But hey, you look at what these guys got. We say You said they go that gambling. You said that gambling. Yes, sir. Hey, it'll be a long road, and it's way bigger than their talent level for Colorado to make it to the national championship. Tell you that. It's not. They got talent, and they got decent talent. They probably got more talent than we could ever imagine. And going back, how do you cover a short pass better without a linebacker? You can't cover a short pass when you have no second level. You got first level, second level, third level. Where's the short passes at? It's not at the first level, D-line. If you got a gap between your first level and your third level, there's all the short passes. There's all the short passes. You can't cover them short passes. Linebackers not dropping to the flats. Linebackers not dropping, hook the curl. They're not helping out on these underneath routes. You know how many balls I picked off jumping underneath as a linebacker? I sit right up under there and pick it off. Sit right up under the slant, pick it off. At the very least, knock that man head off so he think twice to keep running slants right in your area. They ain't running the ball. They jump 2-step, boom. What you running to, fool? Ain't no running back. You ain't got no excuse to be running. That's because you dumb when it comes to linebacker. If you're running into the line on the pass, that means you have no business being out there. How you ain't reading that it's a pass? Why are you running up to the lineman and it's a pass? You have no reason to be anywhere near a lineman, and the lineman have no reason to be you. If he come near you, that means he's lineman upfield. So is he pass blocking? Your simple read from a linebacker, no, I'm reading the pass block. You reading the lineman. You looking at the quarterback, they pass blocking. The first thing you do is drop to your hook the curl. So you should be right in the way of any kind of quick slant or any kind of short drag route. All of that is on the linebackers. All of it. All of 100%. Should the DB let him cross his face? No. But really, he should in a sense because he got linebackers sent underneath and he over top. Now, if he had man-to-man and all that, then you just play him to the inside. But you still got help to the inside. You ain't got no help on the outside. You ain't got no help. So the corner got to always be aware he got no help to his outside. It's just him and that sideline. So he got to be smart. But if that man jumps straight to that slant route, man, first of all, that edge rusher should jump. He should have his hands up. So make sure that you ain't finna just throw it right on top of my head. You know, like they were doing Shador. They were knocking Shador mess down. Shador, they start knocking all them little screen routes Shador used to get away with. You notice that Shador wasn't able to do that. All them little that crap they was running to Jimmy Horn, them little short screen routes. You notice how them line was knocking them down. You watching the game? They knocked all them passes down. He wasn't able to do no screen passes and that because the defensive linemen just stopped and put their hands up because they actually watched film. They actually did what their coach said. Now, if the team gonna throw 100 slants on you and you never seen not one of your edge rushers or linebackers knock a pass down, somebody's failed miserably. Your IQ of your players suck, and so does your coaching. There's no way I'm coaching. There's no way I'm coaching. If I don't doggone, this might be an easier bet for you. Just being real. But if I'm at linebacker and I know they running slant all the time, I ain't got nothing else to do but watch the run. So if I'm really paying attention, after a while, I'll figure out your formations. Plus, I don't watch film. I call out your plays pretty much. After I see you do it enough, I know what you're gonna do. So especially if you don't ran 20 quick slants in a row and drag routes in a row, I'm gonna tell you this. Guard's O-line getting blessed too were not his fault. I'll get to that. How do you have not one interception by a linebacker? If Trevor Woods had all them interceptions in the red zone, why didn't he just? I would think that I would hope they were thinking we put him at linebacker. At least he can stop some of these short drag routes and quick slants. He didn't even do that. And the benefit of me putting a safety at linebacker would be I got somebody down here in this middle area who can knock some of these balls down and pick some off. How we had no interception from a linebacker, and yet we say all these teams were throwing drag routes and quick slants on us. How many passes did we see a linebacker knock down? I'll wait. How many times did we see a linebacker knock a ball down this season? How many times did we see an interception from a linebacker? I'll wait. How do you have all them games With all the teams, they'll do drag route, slant, drag route, slant, and you ain't had not one breakup or interception by a linebacker. I'll wait. I'll be waiting forever. You running slants back to back. I'll wait. Now you say, was it not Charlotte's fault? Would Charlotte have been getting blasted if they had been running the ball, had a running back or fullback to block? Or would Shador have been getting blasted? So you asked about Charlotte first. Let me go back. Open field tackle. We already talked about open field tackles is the fact they don't practice it. 1, 2, if somebody running full speed at you, who fault is it? It's a team sport. This ain't boxing. If your line then slow that man up and your linebackers is nowhere to be found, and every time I have to make a tackle, he coming full speed at me, how am I going to be the most efficient tackler on the team? Think about that. See, everything about fault or not fault. The reality is you get out there and have a man 220, 230 run at you running 4.5, 4.4 all game and see what kind of form tackling you going to have. You seen what happened when he do try to form tackle. They put his face in the ground. Because you're trying to go man for man with a guy who way bigger than you and probably faster. So you have to go at his feet and gamble. And most of the time it worked. Charlo was more effective at knocking your block off when you had your back turned to him or he got a chance to sneak up on you. Ain't too many men gonna hit a big bulldog face to face from 20 miles back. That ain't Charlo. That ain't too many people. Ray Lewis don't even want to hit you from 20 yards back. That's why a linebacker, they scared behind you would think they should be dogs because they're only 5 yards away. If I hit a running back, he ain't got full speed up yet. I'm going to go meet him in the hole. We both got the same speed, momentum. Safety, he got to run and start. Running back got to run and start. And one is 40 pounds bigger. Who going to win? My shoulder versus your doggone, you get your legs is bigger than a turbine on a jet. And I'm finna hit you in your legs. That's what happens. You put them in a bad situation. Shador would have been blasted out of the fullback. I mean, it just wasn't their style of play. Shador would have been getting blasted. They had to use Shador Edwards the right way. I'm not Shador. Dylan Edwards the right way. If they had been sneaking Edwards out that backfield enough, they would have been watching him. You gonna have him in a game? Don't have him pass blocking. Shuffle pass. Quick pitch. Boom. You do that. Now the edge rusher got to be, at least if I can fake it, slow him up. But you ain't got nothing but step back throw, step back throw, step back throw. I don't care how many blockers you put, they know you throwing it. But if you say, hey, y'all keep rushing me, I'm going to slide old boy out to the left. I'm going to drop back, shuffle pass, drop out, quick screen. Right there to the left, right there to the right. Y'all just not going to keep loading up on me like this. Coming this way. Let's go that way, go that way. Using motion. Jet sweeps. If they had been using motion, they just kind of load up. They weren't doing crap, but dropping back in shotgun with 7 people blitzing and 4 or 5 linemen. They were banking on the fact we'll get to him before he can get the ball to anybody, and that's what they want. They was banking on the fact we gonna risk the fact we're gonna blitz our linebacker and all our help, and because we know they run these basic routes, these short routes, but they don't figure them out. So that's why they was able to blitz them, because they called them dumb plays. But you notice that they always was able to figure it out. Most of the time, except towards the end, Shador was hurt. They'll run your butt down. And that's when them refs go throwing them flags or not throwing flags on the other team. They will run you down. Because one thing for sure, they wasn't consistent. But when they was on, they was on. Shador, his RPO was weak. Yeah. You know it's weak because you know you ain't handing the ball off. Do you know about acting? How can I be a good actor on something I'm not gonna do? He already made up his mind he wasn't handing the ball off. See, it's only gonna be strong when I'm actually gonna hand the ball off half the time. Because what make it strong? The fact that I'm gonna do it. What makes it weak is the fact that everybody know I'm not gonna do it. What makes it weak is the fact I got Dylan Edwards in the game, handing off, acting like I'm gonna RPO him in the trenches, and doggone D lineman pinky finger knock him across the field. They can be getting fully blocked and clothesline him with their arm, and it looked like like they destroyed him. They half of their arm knocked Dylan Edwards down. So what was it to fear? They're not worried about your RPO. What is that? You gonna hand it off to him? That is not a threat. Not in the trenches. Now you ditch it out him out here in them flats, and I gotta go out there and run with him. I'm gonna need a head start. I can't be worried about blitzing you because he get one step on me. We seen what he did at doggone TCU. This is the dumbest thing ever. You seen why we didn't see that Dylan Edwards at TCU. Nobody was planning for Dylan Edwards. You get that, he can have an inch on that sideline, he'll turn the corner. How many plays did we see designed to get Dylan Edwards out there on the flats? Out there. You quit tossing to him, and your man got to run with him. And he's so quick and so fast, if he get a crease, pew, they wasn't using him. They wasn't using Dylan Edwards appropriately. He was small, but he wasn't too small to get out there in that open field. We seen it. But you running him off tackle, even if they do hand the ball to Dylan Edwards off tackle, nobody's worried about Dylan Edwards running off tackle. They can arm tackle him. You can't arm tackle a 220, 30 guy. You can't do that. You stick your arm out there, he'll break it. We can't expect Dylan Edwards to get bigger. He's not. That's not his frame. That's not his style of play. At the end of the day, you got to use what you got appropriately. You got to use what you got appropriately. If you don't use what you have appropriately, you're not gonna win. Now we got all these guys coming in: Shepard, Timmons, got Baby T.O., got our boy tight end. He talking big talk from Cincinnati. I think Micah was good. I think Micah had an untapped potential in him. They got this new tight end. He talking big. He better deliver. Yeah, it says Dylan's already strong. Dylan was strong last year. He light in the butt. He's strong all day. He's one of the strongest guys on team, pound for pound. But he's not finna put no 30, 40 pounds on and have the same speed. That's not his style of play. You got your big running backs. You got that new little freshman running back, the little Tyson looking Michelle. Man, everybody talking about, oh, he's solid. Yes, he is. He quiet. That boy, they're gonna run like a grown man. I'm gonna tell you that now. So you're gonna have a running back. You don't have to use Dylan back there like that. Put Dylan out there, put him in motion from the slot, put him in the backfield, third and long, quick toss, get him out. Use them appropriately, but you got these little thick little running backs now. Even you got, McCaskill, more lean. He need to put some weight on. He lean. He can put it on because he lean. They need to put McCaskill on about 15 pounds. Let him eat. Put on about 15, 20 pounds. See, McCaskill lean and he about 220. That's what he should have been doing last year instead of trying to play. He should have been putting weight on. He said, third down, complete pass, travel, 4 down point. Look at him. You got McCaskill going to do his thing. Let that man eat, put the weight on. Savion is hungry. He run hard. Use your one thing I saw about Washington, and we watched Washington, Michigan. Them boys, they use their running backs. And all of them ate. And all of them did well. This is a highly inaccurate fact. You gonna say the man, how you say he had no strength? He kicking pretty much 50-yard field goals. So I don't know what else you want from a 50. That's accuracy and strength to me. He proved it in the Utah game. In other times, there was some snaps or whatever, and other factors. But accuracy is the most important thing. Who cares about strength if you don't have accuracy? Accuracy is the most important thing because you don't want to waste 3 points. You don't want to waste a field goal. You don't want to waste extra points. I'm not so worried about having to have to kick 60 yards because that's it should be a rarity if you got a good offense. But when you need them, yeah, Feely can work on that. I don't need Model to kick 60-yard field goals if I know he gonna make 90%, 95% of the other field goals. All I know is 40 yards. He kicked over 40 yards. He kicked over 40 yards. It was more of like 50 yards. So, and he was a sophomore. So, I mean, we can't act like he's don't have the ability to get better like everybody else to say you need another kicker. He got 2 more years. And this is his first year in the Power 5 program. He going through the offseason like everybody. There's no way you can say he has not the ability to get stronger. He was a sophomore. He was a freshman at Jackson State. Happy Sunday. So y'all gotta look at the fact. Mata, he's his loan was 47. And I guess that was a Utah game. And it wasn't a barrel. And let's be real, if his loan was a 47, what is that? That's irrelevant. If his loan was a 47, that's the longest kick he made. That don't mean that's the longest kick he can make. Because even that 47-yard field goal was halfway up the doggone goalpost. So the reality is it could have easily been a 57-yard field goal if need be, because he had plenty of distance on it. So don't say he can't do it, because that makes no sense. That's the longest kick he made. That's not the furthest he can kick, because he easily could have put another 10 yards on that kick that he made. It's not like it barely dropped over the goalpost, hit the top of the goalpost, So, and to say he need more training, everybody need more training. That's why you practice. Some games came down to field goal, and the field goals they missed was due to inaccuracy more than distance. And I can point to them very games that I know the game that he missed it, the game was over before he missed it, because the offense missed some opportunities. And we also seen, we always talk about these referee calls that influence a lot of these things, where the game was actually already should have been over, but it was kept close by certain calls. So it's never a kick that make you lose the game when the possession before you gave up a fumble, touchdown, or something like that, or the possession before you dropped the touchdown pass. Why you should just as much say they lost the game because he dropped the touchdown, and the next possession Model missed the field goal. The game should have been over when he dropped the touchdown, or when the referee said it was a drop. It's too many. See, the blame game, that's one thing. Blame the right people, because a lot of these games should have been blamed on the referees' calls. It should have been blamed on the coaching calls. It ain't never, oh, this guy missed the field goal. It was rare that they lost a game. It was 3 seconds on the clock, and all he needed was a simple field goal, and they lost. That's when you can say he lost the game. But you say he missed the field goal 3 minutes into the game, and a whole bunch of stuff happened before that, and a whole bunch of stuff happened after that could have determined the game. You can't say that his kick lost the game, because they were missing tackles and getting penalties and all that. They would have swallowed up that kick anyway. I remember when he missed the kick, they turned around, let the team drive right down the field and kick the game. You want to talk about what game you talking about? Stanford? I mean, when he missed the field goal, and then they went downfield and they punted it later on, and the ball went out on the 2-yard line, and they let the team Stanford drive all the way down the field and kick a field goal and tie it up and go in overtime. You gonna blame that on Model? You're not gonna blame it on the fact the guy gave a good punt and the ball went out of bounds at the 1-yard line with 2 minutes left on the clock, and it may have been some questionable calls by the ref, but why the defense couldn't stop them and let them drive all the way downfield to kick the field goal? I'm not gonna fully blame the defense, because it'd be some weird stuff happening with the calls, but you're gonna pin that on the kicker, because you said, well, he should have got the extra 3 points, where they should have stopped him too. Or the possession before he missed the kick, they missed a touchdown, or they gave up an easy touchdown. It's so many variables, but only way I can say a guy really, really lose the game is when, it's 1 second, 2 seconds left on the clock. The offense done their job. The defense made a stop. Offense got you down there and put the ball in the middle of the 30 and you missed it. That's when I say you lost the game. Is it South Dakota? North Dakota. Yeah. Who knows, man? They might blow them away. Oh, yeah. Oh, this right here. Too many men. Let me ask y'all about this. Too many men on the field. How y'all notice that a lot of times when we watch the game, the referees, especially when we would try to go up tempo, and the referees will hold the football and Shador them will be ready. Show them to be ready to make a stop. And I mean, and they're they moving the ball, and the referee will sit there and let the defense get set instead of letting them run their play. But then they don't hold the ball to let our defense get set and let our man get off the field. They'll let them rush and go ahead and run the play. Is that too far-fetched? Y'all notice that they will hold the ball and Shador would be able to catch them in a penalty or catch them not being ready. The referees will hold the ball. They will send over the center and hold the ball before they start the clock. And when everybody be like, they messing up our momentum, they messing up our. You ever notice that? Why up tempo stopped working? They didn't let up tempo go. But when all them penalties we had, yeah, maybe coaching errors, but they wasn't holding the ball like that to let our defense get set and get people on and off the field. Is that too far-fetched? So, we can say this, they should be investigated and all that stuff. They're gonna say they do it all game. That's a lie, because the ratio of penalties was clearly different. Colorado led in sacks and penalties in pretty much every category. So when you look at the fact that you can say, oh, that's what they do at Pac-12, everybody's excuse they just suck. Well, it showed, it should have been more equal. If you call 10 penalties on Colorado, you should call 8 on another team, but that wasn't the case. It wasn't equal. But I will say this: we'll see what they do next year, because then we're gonna have that excuse. I don't believe in that, because then they're gonna say y'all complaining the Big 12 too. It's not a Pac-12 or Big 12 thing. It's a Coach Prime thing. It's a Coach Prime thing. It ain't got nothing to do with you want to blame a conference. If they don't want them to win, they don't want them to win. And you're gonna be looking foolish when you blame it on Pac-12. Then you're gonna say that Big 12. They're gonna say, make up your mind. It's not a 12, it's not a 10, it's a prime thing. So we got to look at all these things. I know somebody mentioned earlier about the coordinator. We got to make sure we don't know what's going on with that. The coordinator haven't been found yet. It's just stuff going on behind the scenes we don't know. But that's going to play a big factor in how this team performs. The coordinator. Because if they don't put the right people on the field, forget the position coaches. You don't put the right people on the field and run the right type of plays, the right type of scheme, and adjust your scheme to who you playing against. I don't care if it's on a weekly basis. It's going to be a hard time, man. It's going to be a hard time. And if people still sit enough to talk about the ref, man, we done been through this 100 times, though. You're just a pure hater. You don't know the specific examples over and over we don't see. Well, how the referees. This is old news. What are we talking about? We grown people, I think. Everybody grown on here. Everybody know it's ancient history there. Even all the way back to the civil rights and Jim Crow days, that referees can control the game of any sport. What they cause. They can mess you up in basketball. They can mess you up in baseball. They can, come on now. This old football, can be blind out of certain stuff and then call stuff that ain't there. We seen Remember the Freaking Titans. Did you not see Coach Boone? Come on now, that's a true story. Don't play like that. It ain't possible for refs to manipulate the game. They do it at every level. It's not that it's saying it's new. It's not a new thing. What we dealing with is the coaches got to do their part. Players got to do their part. Everybody got to do their part. And that will help. Because you can't control what them refs going to be doing. They're going to do some stuff. But if you go out here and you do what you need to do as a coach, call the right stuff, manage the game the right way. We've seen times they didn't manage the game well, and it caused them, like UCLA, they caused them when they sit up there and had to punt the ball because they didn't run that clock out. And UCLA scored before halftime. And the game would have went at halftime 7-6 instead of 7-13. Stuff like that hurt. Definitely needs to improve. I mean, it's a common sense, You can't tell the players to improve, not the coaching. So that's why I say this defensive coordinator is going to have to be a step up. The defense coordinator gonna have to be a step up. Even if it's determined what the personnel gonna be. You got too many good personnel to not have the right people on the field. I don't care. You have to convert. I convert somebody linebacker before I let somebody be out there a garbage linebacker. And they ain't talking about just throwing no Trevor Woods out there. So that's gonna be the next thing we looking for. I see a lot coming real soon about, because we still waiting. I'm taking my time. Maybe he ain't got the person he want. Maybe they waiting for the NFL season to end. I don't know, but that's gonna be the next big news. We know Pat Shermer is, as long as he uses weapons good and should do it right, the offense should be good. As high level as that offense is going to be, the defense really just need to be just like this year. Defense just did average, and they kept them in a lot of games. So if the defense is above level and the offense is above level, I don't see how y'all think that Colorado is not going to be hard to beat. If their offense is able to put up the counterpoints they did last year, and their defense is half as better as what they were this year, then you're going to have a hard time beat Colorado. You're going to have to be real flagrant with your calls and cheat. Because they was in all the games this year, except 2. So I want y'all to think about that. Make sure y'all like, share, subscribe. I appreciate y'all stopping by. Check out our sponsors there in the description. And our Tanggula box still going. And y'all, make sure y'all subscribe. I'm going to come back. I have my inspiration, motivation later on today. But I appreciate y'all coming through. Y'all have a good one.